Good morning. Reed here, walking back from bringing my kiddo to the carpool meetup spot for her day in her nature program. And just kind of realizing that, like, with the summer schedule basically kicking in, work really ramping up a bunch, and farming taking up a decent chunk of my life now, the times that I was making videos seem like they're going to be super full. Plus, my wife's vehicle is at the shop right now, and not exactly sure when it's coming back. So I get to take kids to their programs instead of her. Thus, here I am again, walking back up the road. And it was Mother's Day this past weekend, so happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there doing the thing. Thanks for that, making sure our species keeps happening on this planet here. I know here in North America, our actual birth rates are diminishing, and if it wasn't for immigration, we would have a much lower population. So something to keep in mind. In fact, thinking about parenting and children, and that notion of passing along culture, and that notion of a diminishing population in actuality, it's a curiosity of, like, why are people having so fewer kids, to the point that we're actually on a downturn for population, minus immigration. And the notion of, yeah, it's certainly challenging being a parent. I mean, there's lots of upsides to it. Those first few years, though, when your kid is just utterly demanding and has no reason set in, and, you know, just demands everything of your presence, is, you know, more challenging than most people want. Slash, I wonder if a lot of people just enjoy not having the responsibility of another person in their life. I don't know, I'm postulating. But on the other side of things, there is so many lessons that I get to learn as a parent by having kids. So many extra checks on myself. Now, for me, I spent a lot of years meditating, leading a pretty sattvic life, and in that, you know, I thought I was pretty cool-tempered and had my act somewhat together. And having kids, I realized not nearly as much as I thought I did. To which, by having them, I got to really dial that in so much more, which is great. Now, another piece on that same thread, but kind of a different angle to it, is, you know, the threads of life weave together to make this beautiful tapestry we live in. It's on the financial side, which my wife and I just finished watching things like How to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi, and we were like, we really need to get our financial world in order. And the notion that if you have your financial world in order, it's a much different thing having kids. Now, I like my lifestyle so much that I'm hard pressed to, you know, fully make some space for the next round of financial things to take place to bolster that reality for myself, while at the same time I keep giving myself raises. So, you know, it's not doing terrible, but it could be doing a lot better. And, you know, in the notion that children is really like a sign of hope for the future, and the idea of planning for the future is something that is good to do, besides just, you know, planting more trees and making sure that we're well fed. One way is, you know, planning for our later years. Right now I'm all able-bodied and everything, and so I'm doing work that really maximizes that aspect of myself. Now, the question becomes, how will I be in later years? Any number of things can happen, and I certainly hope to be one of those people who, you know, is doing the things he loves right to the point of when this body expires. But what is that going to look like in actuality? And how can we prepare for all of the unknowns that can take place? along with how do we care for our other loved ones, both in our absence and in their potential absence. You know, because when you have kids, like if they're young when you go, someone's got to care for them. Intermixed with what are those financial systems that can be set up to make sure that everyone is prosperous in the long term. It's one thing to live paycheck to paycheck. I get it. I've been there. I'm not going to even say I'm much past that right now, to be quite honest, but I'm a little bit past it. And so that notion of, you know, I'm going to take the next steps needed to bring that piece of my life into its next level by hopefully properly investing in different monetary systems, so that way the riches of my life can go on well into the future. Note that riches and wealth are different things. Riches is the money, the gold, the emeralds and jewels, maybe the Bitcoin that you're holding on to for long term. Or whereas wealth seems like that's a lot of what's between your head. It's also what's actually in your life. You know, I picked up some kids' kayaks this past week, and watching my kids get out on our little pond with that was pretty super fantastic. And I was like, oh, these are some of the moments that I'm living for, you know? And that question, like, what is it we're living for? And how do we maximize those moments? It can be real easy to just be a workaholic and forget to do the important things in life. That can even be like, you know, just taking care of ourselves. Oftentimes I see a lot of people put their self-care on the back burner. So I'm curious, how are you caring for yourself? How are you looking at the long-term future? Do you have kids out there? Are you making time for them? Are they going to remember you as somebody who was doing what you love doing, or someone who was just, you know, working to get by? What's up with all that? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for sharing it. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. And have too much fun.